What's up, guys? How's it going? Little Friday, middle of the day. We've said this in the past, a Wednesday link on a Thursday or on different days. I can't recall if we've done a Wednesday link on a Friday, Thomas, but here we are.
I don't think we have. It should have been yesterday. That was my fault. I got a little busy yesterday with some other stuff going on. But in the spirit of training camp, Josh, there's not a ton going on. And so having to do it on a Wednesday night is not, I would say, mandatory. About 11 days from now, it will be, because the first Wednesday link following the Tuesday start to training camp will be the night after their first practice. So it's going to be pretty exciting here in a little bit. But figure we go ahead and jump on, talk about not only your interview with an Eagle player, Tristan McCullum, which I thought was fascinating. Listened to that earlier today. But training camp battles and different things that can happen the next couple of days and weeks.
There we go. Yes. And we try to, as much as possible, when there's news going on, then we, obviously, if it's breaking news, we jump on. But if it's not...
Sure.
We've been kind of texting each other, talked about this before. We hopped on here as well. It's there's not a whole lot going on, so you kind of delay it. Like, well, maybe there's a little bit more of a storyline, but there is some news, as you're mentioning there and alluded to, that we'll get into. Shout out to everybody in the chat as well, very quickly. Appreciate you guys. Y'all are the best. Make sure to drop a like if you haven't already. And we've got some very exciting things planned, which we've also mentioned, but staying tuned for that. Game streams, all sorts of things planned in the future as well. But you guys make it possible. So just a little quick kudos, shout out to you guys. Where should we start, quite honestly? Because there's a couple different topics we can get into. The area I think that people have been talking about recently is the Jalen Hurts hate, lack of respect, or wherever. I don't know if we should jump in there and then we could go to others, or if you have a preference on this one.
I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say about the Jalen Hurts disrespect. Was it who had him outside the top 13 of their recent quarterback ranking list? Somebody did, right?
Yeah. It was Kevin. What was his last name? Kevin. It was like an ESPN one. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see who that was.
Outside the top 13,
out of the top 13.
Crazy.
Yeah. But I've seen multiple lists that have him outside the top 10. So, it's like, come on, the dude just won a Super Bowl. And people want to, he's overrated. You got this team. It's like, and I was making this case on, I think, the live stream earlier this week. It's fine to say the Eagles have the best offense in the NFL, because they do. But that does not mean that it's an either-or situation of like, okay, Jalen Hurts either is a good quarterback or the Eagles have a really good offense. It can be both. It can be the Eagles have a really good offense and they also have a really good quarterback. We've gone, so many times to talking about, like, well, it can't be necessarily, or it doesn't have to be like Jalen in the top 3, top 4. You could say that he's a ranked number 5. That's fine. But he's still a better quarterback than, top 13. He can't make that for some people's list. Get out of here. That's ridiculous.
I've been watching the new Netflix season 2 of Quarterback, and so they're following Jared Goff and Joe Burrow, who's kind of the star of that whole thing, and obviously Kirk Cousins as well. Fascinating. And they had this thing in the second episode where Joe Burrow is talking about, you blink, you're a rookie, and then now he's 5 years into being an NFL starting quarterback, and that's the same for Josh Allen. It's the same for Lamar Jackson. They've all hit 5 or more years right now. And those are really the 3 prime people besides Patrick Mahomes. All 3 of them, have won MVPs or have at least been very close to winning MVPs. I don't know if Burrow's officially won one yet. I don't think he has. But he's been in the conversation almost every single year that he's been healthy. And Burrow's talking about how quickly you blink and the season turns into year 5 and 10 and 15. Yet Jalen Hurts is more accomplished than all of them, and yet nobody wants to acknowledge him in the list of the big 3, the big 4, Patrick Mahomes, the big 5. And then having him outside the top 10 is ridiculous. My only thing about this, because it doesn't really matter, and I don't want to spend too much time on it overall, I do think Jalen Hurts sees this stuff. I know Jalen Hurts is one of the more quiet quarterbacks in the NFL who we know nothing about. Like, we've seen no video of him working out this offseason except for, I think, one. Mm-hmm. And it's on some trainer's Instagram story 3 months ago, and he's throwing like a pass. That's it. We have no clue what Jalen Hurts has done the entire offseason besides get married, because someone had drone shots from, I forget which, TMZ flew a drone at his wedding, and that was pretty stupid. But we don't know. And so Jalen Hurts, does he care about where people rank him? Does he not? I think he does, because there are times throughout the season where if local news will say stuff about Jalen Hurts, he'll then kind of hint at it in a press conference. When they weren't passing very well, I think it was right before the Pittsburgh game, kind of in that stretch. He then goes to the podium after and goes, so that's what you all wanted. He definitely sees
right
these
after,
things,
yes.
and it motivates him, right? So my only hope about this is Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl, MVP. There are people that think that maybe he, reaches the pinnacle. Where do you go from there? And then you hear stories from like his quarterback coach back in April on the Rich Eisen show saying that he is more dialed in than ever to fix the small little things to get back to the Super Bowl. That I hope it's just extra motivation. That's probably all it can actually be besides actual, food for us to talk about here on a random July 11th Friday with not much going on.
Exactly, yes. But they're making it more, difficult for the rest of the league, and we all appreciate that. But you're right. I mean, you had after the Jacksonville game, Jalen saying, why I say I can't, right, for the throw that he made to Smitty. And it's like the local media, mostly the local media, not all, but mostly the local media of beat writers covering the team, didn't necessarily. So I think John McMullen follows up going like, well, who's saying that? Like, I didn't say that you can't, but he's like they. And it's the national media because you still see those day in and day out. And he does, as we heard him say in the Super Bowl again, of like, he's like, yeah, I see it. I see it. And the viral clip afterwards, him sitting at the desk saying, if that's what it takes for me to be a Super Bowl champ, keep him coming. So, yeah, keep the hate coming. It's just, it fascinates me that no matter what this dude does on the biggest stage, the brightest lights, he's still going to get that criticism. And it is. I mean, it's unfair. Call it what you want to. The fact that there's such a good offense and you have one of the best, you have the best offensive line, you have one of the best wide receiver duos, you have the best running back. Okay, sure. He benefits a lot, absolutely. But it won't matter. It won't matter what the statistics say. There's going to be haters. And it's just crazy. I was going to show people, because it's been on Twitter a little bit. You've probably already seen this. But Brett Coleman had pulled this from PFF, of course, but Brett Coleman is sharing it. From PFF, there's a look at every team's passer rating when targeted in the danger zone between the numbers at the depth of 10 to 20 yards. So, middle of the field, 10 to 20 yards. Now, we know that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense does not throw that pass very often, so you could still make a counter argument. But when they do, it is a very good clip. Now, it's very hard to see, so I can't blow this up anymore, unfortunately, but I'll help you out here with the cursor for people that are watching this on their phone. If you're on TV, you probably can see it okay enough. This outlier here is the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, who Brett says is just an alien. Like, that's crazy. It's 151.5 passer rating.
Right.
Ridiculous. Second, Joe Burrow. Third, Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. And then fourth is Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts. 123.3 passer rating, throwing over the middle of the field, 10 to 20 yards.
Is that good?
Proof's there. Not too bad. Number 4 in the NFL. But hey, he's not a top 13 quarterback. He can't make those throws. He's not going to be able to read it. And by the way, another quarterback a couple quarterbacks who have been ranked ahead of him when you look at this, and I know it's just this one spot, but the danger zone, as Brett calls it, Los Angeles, the Rams at 28th, Matt Stafford 79.1, and Jordan Love 31st, a 69.2 passer rating when throwing.
There are people out there that would say Jalen Hurts is worse than Jordan Love. There are people out there that would tell you that to your face.
Absolutely,
100%.
Mm-hmm.
They would.
Yeah, we saw he threw 3 interceptions against the Eagles. Better defense, but still.
Doesn't matter.
The other thing, real quick, that I'll just throw up here, the other part was from Hayden Winks. Shout out to him. Another wild quarterback chart. But if you want to take a bigger sample size, quarterback efficiency, 2022 until present. So we got multiple years in play. And this is looking at the full regular season, weeks 1 through 18, minimum of 200 plays, and it's on downs 3 and 4. So third and fourth down. It's quarterback efficiency, right? So when it matters, pressure's up, who's going to show up and make the plays? The top right is really good here. Let me just make that known. Top right is really good. This is very high completion percentage. It's completion percentage above expected to your right. And then up is EPA per play. So top right is the best position to be in. Look at these top 3 quarterbacks here. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Joe Burrow. And wait a second. It's Jalen Hurts. What's he doing up there with those two? Hang on.
Look where Josh Allen is, too, which I think is crazy. People would definitely have him way higher. I mean, he is up there at the very top. Also funny at the bottom, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford is way down there as well. Justin Herbert, the big what-if guy. People will rank Justin Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts, and yet, stats are one thing, Josh. People don't care about stats, right? They care about Josh Allen. They care about the name. That's really what it is. They care about the name, And that's how the NFL works. And Jalen Hurts has the name recognition, but he doesn't have the name recognition of some of these other guys. And whatever reason, that's what happens. But honestly, it gets so tiring, though. And I see everyone in the chat talking about how dumb this is. And people saying we're real for sticking up for our quarterback. Not even sticking up for our quarterback. Like Josh and I are not saying that we would take Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes right now. And there's arguments, obviously, for Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But that's never going to happen. There's never a scenario where you are going to have a chance to take Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts. You work with what you have, and what we have has won a Super Bowl. And so I'll defend anybody that's just won a Super Bowl, especially if it's the quarterback who was the MVP and dominated. So, it is what it is. It gets dumb. I personally more care about training camp because Jalen Hurts is the established starter. Yes, in training camp, will we get hints about him looking better? I'm sure we're going to see those reports. I'm sure we'll talk about him. Mm-hmm. But the real question that we're going to have the next couple of weeks is who's starting where and how are these young people looking in terms of potentially winning starting jobs or being contributors. That's why I thought your Tristan McCullum interview was fascinating because Tristan McCullum is one of these guys in this group of 4 battling for the safety position with Gardner Johnson gone. And the Eagles are talking about him a lot. Eagle fans are not. And so he could be one of these names that kind of vaults into the spotlight the next couple of weeks. And we go, Tristan McCullum started at safety alongside Reed Blankenship for the 4th day in a row. Something's happening here. Because he's one of the guys who's been in this system long, has been healthy in this system, whereas Sidney Brown is not.
Yes. Yeah. He's, and that's one of those kind of the reasons for going back and looking at it. But he's got the stats to prove. You go back and look at even the preseason. He was, I think, 2nd with the team in tackles. Now, I know that he's getting a lot more reps than the starters, of course, because everybody's basically resting. But that second wave, as you're talking about, he's got the reps. Fangio's praised him for being a really good playmaker on special teams. He's made several of those plays, and we've seen it in the past. So, it's keep an eye out for it. I was making the case for people that did not see the video yet, making the case of there's some similarities, not fully like a Zach Bond. I'm not saying we got an all-pro in the making there, but it's some similarities of when Vic Fangio says a name, even if it's in passing. Vic Fangio is not flighty. He's not just like no offense to Sirianni, but he's not going to list out the entire roster when you ask him, hey, who do you think's got a legit chance? He's not going to go down the line there. If he says a name, then there's a legit possibility, and especially the fact that he was given Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba, and rather than just talk about them, because it's not like they said, hey, who do you think's going to win the safety job? They said, how do you feel about the competition between Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba?
Right.
Even if you believe in Tristan McCullum, you don't have to bring him up. You could say, well, yeah, Drew's got some work to do. He's a rookie. You got to figure things out. Sidney, we'll see. He's got the skills, but he's got to, figure out the system, the scheme more, blah, 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 whatever, and just move on. Yet he still goes, and Tristan too. Tristan's in there. He's competing for it. So then you're like, okay, all right. Let's see what you're doing, Vic. There's maybe a possibility. So, but yes, it was a blast to have him on there. Pretty cool too. I mean, people curious of how the interviews happen and whatnot. It's various instances. This one was Tristan on Instagram connecting, and all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, I watched the show, a fan, so got time, and there we go, made it happen." I just love the fact that even asking him and trying to be understanding of it, I get it, but asking him like, "Hey, competition, goals for the season, everything else." We talk about it all across the field. Like there's reasons that players are here, and there's reasons that they moved on from certain players. No, won't name any specifics, but you can figure that one out. Listen to how he talks about even as trying to win out a job. It's do what the team needs me to do. Going to do my best. Yes, obviously the goals in competition is to be my best self and show out on the field. But wherever the team needs me, if that's on special teams, great. If that's as the starting safety out there, fantastic. Going to make it happen. But I've very, very seldom do you hear a player out there like you hear in other teams and press conferences of like a get mine, it's all about me. It's team first, and you can't speak enough about that culture.
Well, and also you asked him about Drew Mukuba, who really is the great threat. Sidney Brown is going to start day one just because of seniority here. My guess would be that McCullum is then the 2. And then Mukuba starts the first couple of weeks as the 3. I'm sure they're going to move him around because we saw that all OT and minicamp long. Someone starts here, and then there's a 3rd stringer. But Mukuba's the big threat there. I mean, he is the 2nd-round draft pick everyone's raving about. And then you still got Tristan McCullum when you asked him, giving you an honest answer. He's way ahead of where a rookie should be. He's played a lot of football, and that feels exactly what Vic Fangio likes to do with his rookies, especially his first rookie class last year. He wanted people like Quinyon Mitchell, played a ton of football at Toledo. come out here and learn for a couple of weeks, and then we can hand you the starting job. We'll feel confident enough that you have the football IQ to figure things out. And Mukuba definitely seems to, according to everybody, including McCullum, have that ability. So it's going to be very interesting. But I do think training camp overall, and it's worth mentioning for people listening, we're about 11, 10 days out, whatever it is, the 22nd. They're going to practice on the 23rd. Like the next day they start practicing. And then they'll put pads on within the first week. And then the first training camp game is August 7th. Like it's 16 days from day one, they actually play a training camp or a preseason football game. It's going to go very quickly. But the first 2 weeks, there's a lot of the fog of war situation where, one day you're going to read about this person starting, and one day you read about this person looking good, this person looking bad. You got to take it all with a grain of salt. You and I will report what we hear and what we see, but it's always moving, right? We remember that Devin White looked great the first 2 weeks of training camp. I remember last year, it was like Devin White is the guy. He's the linebacker we've been waiting for. Oh my gosh, he still has the juice.
He started the group chat with AJ and Jalen and there was one other guy out there, I think. It's Saquon, maybe.
He was going to change the defensive culture, and then didn't happen. And Nakobe Dean didn't look good. I remember talking to a reporter. I was the guy from who was that? I was messaging somebody asking about Nakobe Dean, and they were like, doesn't look that good. Pretty bad.
You had Brandon Lee Gowton on multiple times. I know he was mentioning it. I don't know if that's who it was, but
Brandon's in person. He sees this stuff. He's like, I watched today, didn't look good. And I obviously believe him. But it just, for people who understand how this thing works, it's going to be a bit of an up and down swing. And the Eagles' entire goal is to just get them ready to go for that first preseason game, because it's going to go very quickly here. We are at the very edge of the cliff, Josh, and it's about to tip over and become pretty exciting.
Thank goodness, to get some meaningful football. We'll say that. But yes, it is. As you say, we take it with a grain of salt. If we based it on last season, Isaiah Rodgers was going to start. Kelee Ringo very briefly, but then Isaiah Rodgers was going to. Then it's all of a sudden Q. What's going on with the defensive line, the edge rushers, like what's that battle going to? There were so many. Bryce Huff was going to be the guy they wanted him to be, I suppose, but it's completely different the first week or two, and then you start to get a little bit more semblances in the joint practices, and then obviously preseason games and moving beyond there. But yeah, safety is naturally one of those biggest spots. Really quickly, I was going to mention, because I was trying to find the exact details, because I mentioned Tristan McCullum was towards the top. So yeah, ranking towards the top with the team leaders in tackles last year in the preseason. 17 tackles, 2 pass breakups, 1 tackle for loss. That was his preseason line for like 2.5 games. So not too bad, and we saw him during the regular season whenever he had to play sparingly. I think he started, if I'm not mistaken, the Giants game when they were resting most of the starters. I think he had like 9 tackles there. So he's shown the ability, and it'll be interesting. We've got multiple of those. Speaking of, let me get to these super chats. We appreciate you guys. I'm a little behind, but MJ Berg 09 with the 5 bomb. There we go. I don't see a comment, but MJ Berg, we appreciate
that.
You. All the support. Christopher with a 10. There we go.
Okay.
On a Friday. The 10 saying, cheers, guys. Go Birds. Go
Appreciate
Birds.
That. Love that. Just simple go.
Thank you,
go Birds and move on.
Yep.
Love it, Christopher. Thank you.
Sounds like Christopher's having a good Friday, too. So good for you. That's the spirits on a Friday. Aisha with a 5. Thank you, Aisha. Says, they keep on saying Hurts has too many weapons, but I would argue Hurts is also a weapon. Our run game works due to him, and without him, we don't win. See, that is a fantastic point, because it immediately makes me think of the Washington game that we lost, right? Because before Jalen goes out, we were going to blow them out 55-23 in that game. Like, that was going to be the NFC Championship game. That was what was going to happen. But then he goes out, and the first run, if I'm not mistaken, or the first couple runs, Saquon breaks one. So we're like, okay, maybe this is all right. We'd be fine without Jalen. We could still do this. And then after that point that Saquon broke off the run, the Eagles had the worst efficiency rating on the ground the entire season. The entire season. 3 quarters of Saquon not being able to get anything going. And that's because if you're running the football, it makes sense to everyone. But Kenny Pickett faking the handoff and going like, oh, maybe I'm going to pull it. Like, no one's fault. There's nothing going to happen, But when Jalen's out there, okay, all of a sudden, there's a little bit more. You got to keep a guy contained. You can't just crash down on Saquon every time, because then Jalen's going to pull it. And we saw that whenever he even came back What it was the first game against Green Bay. I know he had the run off. He kind of ripped one off against the Rams too, but I think he had one against Green Bay as well. So it's a night and day difference. That's a fantastic point by Aisha.
Well, and I also saw this photo on Twitter yesterday. It was like Jalen Hurts, was gifted the Eagles situation. It's a picture of Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Jalen Reagor, and one of those no-name running backs that we had, whenever Jalen Hurts was wearing the number 2, right? He was not he was not presented, I guess the coaching the organization's great, but he was not presented like this great situation. They realized what they had in him and then built a team around him, truly. This is something that no one ever talks about. I don't want this whole stream about Jalen Hurts, because I know there's another comment here talking about Lamar and Jalen. But my last point on Jalen Hurts, the amount of people who just ignore the fact that Philadelphia brought all these weapons in. They didn't bring weapons around Carson Wentz. Now, maybe they thought that, we should have, and so let's try and do it with Jalen Hurts. They believed in Jalen Hurts from day one. They're not trading for A.J. Brown, signing Saquon Barkley. They already had Devontae Smith. Like, they're not doing that if they thought that Jalen Hurts was not good enough to win a Super Bowl, and obviously they were correct. So, what are you going to do?
It makes it, we all get it, but it just fascinates me how many times, like, they're gonna forget. They're gonna doubt him again. You go back to, and I've been running through, which I'll probably have this video out tomorrow, but running through the season-long recap of last year, just to kind of go like, oh, what are the top storylines, headlines, things like that. And it fascinated me because, like, you remember it, but to what detail and how many times? It's like Jalen Hurts is the worst, and then he has a good game, and then the national media, well, hey, maybe Jalen, and then he has a bad game. And it's like, well, Jalen Hurts is terrible again. And then he goes another game, and you're like, yeah, maybe he really is the problem. He's holding this team back. And it back and forth the entire season. And it just feels like, as we said, no matter what he does, it continues to pop up. So the fact that he got the Super Bowl, whatever, people can keep hating on him. He's much better than most all those rankings. Alex with a 5, go back to some safety talk here, says, is Drew Mukuba going to sign his rookie deal, especially with training camp coming up?
Great question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's next week is when I expect this thing to happen. I got a show on this that some of you guys will be watching here pretty shortly. That basically is showing that there's about to be a lot of extensions in the National Football League. Hutchinson's about to get his. Sauce Gardner's about to get his. There are multiple names of guys that are going to sign extensions, which means Reed Blankenship, in my opinion, should be one of them. So, but they want to get these things done before training camp because you don't want to start, the season, day one of camp, running around and not having that long-term injury insurance, essentially, is what it is. So you're going to see a lot of contracts happen the next 11 days, especially for bigger names around the league. I think Reed should be on there, and I think for sure Mukuba will as well. I don't know why it's taking so long. We've seen this in the past. It's weird, but the NFL has injury guarantees built in, so he could practice, get injured, and still be fine. However, they do need to get that done, but I'd be shocked if they get to, the 22nd next week or 2 weeks from now, and he's not signed. But I agree, it needs to happen.
Yeah, and we saw this. We'll kind of also remind people. We saw this with Kelee Ringo. We've seen this with Landon Dickerson. We've seen it every single year with one player, and it takes a little bit longer. But they usually get it signed, whether it's a day. I think that was maybe a day or two before camp for Kelee Ringo. But I'm very confident as well that it'll take place, get done. I don't know as much so on Reed Blankenship. Shout out to Anthony DeBona, but his source sharing that previously. No talks with Reed so far.
Really? I didn't know that.
It was about 2 to 3 weeks ago was the initial report, and then checking in, I think as the latest, had not had many talks. So
interesting.
There's still time. And people bring this up. It's a fair point. Reed Blankenship has the same agent as Terry McLaurin. So Terry McLaurin is probably not going to be at camp, right? Because if I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm not going to be practicing. I'm not going to risk anything until you get me a new contract. Reed Blankenship, I love him. You need to keep the exciting whites together. I believe you need to get something done. But the argument has been thrown out there. The hypothetical is, well, does Reed Blankenship hold out of camp? Do you see him not practicing? I just really can't envision that. And again, if he were to do it, I also would be, hey, look, you got to protect yours. You got to get your bag. First and foremost, take care of your family. All that. He just got married. Congratulations. All that makes sense. But there's something about this culture on the team. And I think it shows you for what Howie did with Saquon. He didn't have to re-up that contract. Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman did not have to pay him more money. But it was to, I think, send the message to the team, look, if you play out If you guys ball out and you play up to the level, we are going to take care of you. That's what this organization does. So if it's taking a little bit longer or the Eagles are trying to fill things out, just because there maybe has not been specific talks or a lot closer to getting a contract done, again, as of a couple weeks ago from what Anthony was sharing, they still may have gone to Reed and shared more of the plan, because Howie's not your Joe Shane and, like, well, we just kind of let you go out there. He's going to give the players more of a notice. And so I'm curious, we'll see. There is more time. Again, we've got 10-ish days, 10 or 12 days. Does something work out before then? Who knows? But it is interesting by the fact that at least a couple weeks ago hadn't had anything.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'd be very, very surprised if they don't talk at all, unless Philadelphia is okay with him going through the season on a final year of his deal, and then you could have a scenario where he's going to go somewhere else. I mean, this is exactly what happened with Josh Sweat this past year. He re-signs for one year, $10 million, whatever it was. I think Philadelphia thought he was going to have an average year, and then they could bring him back on a similar 2 or 3 year contract to $10, $15 million range. Josh Sweat goes crazy, leads the Eagles in sacks, goes nuts in the Super Bowl, and gets this massive deal in the offseason from the different football team, the Arizona Cardinals. That could definitely happen with Reed Blankenship, where he is the best person in the secondary. I mean, Q obviously is there. DeJean is there as well. But Reed could have the most interceptions. He could be the guy. And then he goes to free agency and goes, I mean, X team is offering me $10 million a year more than Philadelphia, $8 million a year more than Philadelphia. Reed has not gotten a big contract at all. UDFA out of college. He's been making between $1 and $3 million a year. A lot for us, very little for secondary players, especially good ones in the NFL. And if he thinks he's a top 10 safety at the end of this season, which he very well could be, maybe money talks, and then Philadelphia's got to figure out the safety spot, times 2. Gardner Johnson gone, now they got to do it again. I hope they get a deal done, but I guess we'll see.
I do too, yes. And I know it's different position, obviously, for a cornerback and safety, but the money's not crazy far off whenever you're comparing it. And the reason that I say that is just for comparison of Isaiah Rodgers. Like, Zay played really well last year, but it was very limited, right? So you still are kind of taking a chance. He got 2 years for 11, if I'm not mistaken, 2 for 11, 2 for 12, somewhere around there, 8 guaranteed. So absolutely. I mean, if Reed goes out there and plays well, it has to be somewhere in that 10 million range. I mean, the top guys are getting 20 million plus, but it's got to be surely in that market. So I'm going to be curious, where they go with that as the leader, especially because you don't know about the other safety position. I would love to have one of those locked up and say, hey,
you would think
we're figuring out the other one. Maybe it's our rookie. Maybe it's our former 3rd-round pick. Maybe it's a UDFA and Tristan McCullum. But like someone, let's have some sort of semblance there. Simo would go back to the super chats with a 5. Says Lamar, going back to the quarterback comments also. Lamar first year throwing over 4,000 was 2024. But they get at Hurts not getting that with a 2,000-yard rusher and is a dual threat quarterback. So. I mean, it's again. It's
what
like
do you want to say?
You have weapons.
What do you want to say?
So
I know
there's only so much to be spread around, and that's kind of where it's at. I mean, it's kind of what we're talking about. Also, I was going to say someone else had brought up before talking about the safeties. Lewis Seen, he's still there. Someone's like, is he gone? Is there no chance? He's still there, but
sure.
The hype is, who knows?
There's no hype.
Didn't hear much of anything during OTAs, during minicamp. Even if there's small bits, someone would be, hey, there you go. He made a play, did something, breaking up
literally
passes.
Nothing.
Right. So it's not impossible. He could show out in some way that we're kind of surprised. But at the moment, it does feel like it's those 3 safeties that we've been mentioning for that competition there. Philly lock with the 1 and then the 2 bomb. Hey, back-to-back. Appreciate that one. Kind of back-to-back super chats here saying, is our secondary the youngest in the NFL and the most inexperienced secondary in the NFL?
I think it is.
It's gotta be
I'm
close.
trying to Google to see if they can confirm that. The Dolphins... Wait, no, that's draft class. No, I don't... Google's not telling me. It has to be one of the youngest.
It's
one of the youngest.
Because we were the youngest defense in the NFL and the best defense in the NFL last year. So I would assume, like it's got to be top 3. I'm thinking it's 1, but it's got to be at least top 3 in terms of the youngest and the most inexperienced. Do you have...
The 6 youngest teams in the NFL on opening day last year, this is teams, Green Bay, Rams, Broncos, Bucks, Chargers, and Eagles, all reached the postseason. as of the Super Bowl, the Eagles will be the youngest right now at 26 years, 4 months, and 26 days.
There we go.
Chiefs are right behind them. So, yes, they are very, very young. And you got to think, like, Cooper Jean's like 22 years old. Quinion, I think, is 23, maybe.
Yep.
Reed is probably 25. I mean, there's nobody over the age of 25 in the Eagles secondary besides Adoree Jackson if Adoree Jackson wins the job.
Yeah, and defensively, like there's a couple veterans, but really that's it. So when you look at the age and what's bringing it up, it's the offense. It's the offensive players that are kind of raising that. So the average, again, you're talking about one of the youngest defenses in the NFL, and I know that's a point of, okay, well, there's inexperience, there's youth, can they live up to it? But it's like, I feel like we are a broken record of getting up here and going like, yeah, but this was the case they were the youngest defense in the NFL. And look at what Vic Fangio was able to get them playing up to. Look at what Christian Parker and Joe Casper, Bobby King, Clint Hurt, they were able to take a group that was 28th, 29th in the league, lost some veteran leadership, and still rose to the occasion to become the number one defense in the NFL. So, yes, you need the exact same thing. You need guys to show up. But there's a recipe for success there, and I think that you cannot discredit, like we've said, the culture and how those guys play for each other more than, well, okay, you got a rookie here, but is he going to get help from guys? Because that happens. We know that happens across the league. There's other teams. You get a rookie, you get a young player coming in, they ain't getting help. It's like, you survive on your own, man. This is my job. You ain't coming in here. But it's totally different. And Lane Johnson's spoken to it. It floors me that not as many NFL teams do this. But Lane saying, oh, yeah, like, why am I not going to share tips with Nolan Smith and Jalyx Hunt at practice? Why would I not? They're on my team. I'm trying to make them better. So he has a OL masterminds going on this week, teaching and helping other offensive linemen around the league. That's cool. But sure, I get it. You don't want to share with all the pass rushers. Share with your own team. Makes them better. And we've seen that from Nolan and Jalyx.
Reed is 26, by the way. He is the oldest member of the secondary, 26. Bond is 28. And I'm trying to think if anyone else is close to that. I think 28 is probably the max that we're going to be at right now. By the way, speaking about sharing with your teammates, it was reported with Nolan Smith's rookie season that there wasn't a lot of love between him and Hassan Reddick, which we understand why, because Hassan Reddick seems to be a little bit of a little bit of a me person. I would say would probably be the best way to describe him. He loves me some me, right? There wasn't a lot of teaching done there, is what the reports were way back during the Nolan Smith rookie season. So
you stole a Terry McLaurin quote. I like that.
You love that? I think it's a Terrell Owens quote. Love me some me.
Well, that's actually you're right. You're right. Then Terry stole it from him. I'm thinking of last year in the after he beat Q. I love me some me. It's always funny, like, hindsight's 2020, and you get these glimpses after the fact, which is really nice. Of we had heard Nolan, and so, didn't someone ask? I can't remember which reporter, but somebody asked Nolan very early into the season, like, "Hey, what's it like learning from Hassan Reddick? Are you asking him questions all the time? Blah blah blah." And it was interesting. It's totally fair too, but it was interesting the way that he answered it, of going like, yeah, I don't want to overwhelm him. I can't come in as that new guy and just kind of ask him much way. So he's like, I'm just like learning by observing and like watching, just kind of hanging out here and seeing what's going on. And there's some other things that we learned, of course. I don't know that is able to fully share, but that, along with just kind of reading between the lines of the press conferences and how they were talking about it, you go, yeah, there was a little something else. Sweaty after, I think it was the Dallas game that we went to, and they got just shellacked, of saying,
it's pretty bad.
We got guys that are sack chasing, sack hunting. And, you assume, you imagine, and then as it started to play out, you go, yeah, that's exactly what's taking place. So, but you know what? Kudos to Sweaty. Signed a massive contract, as you said. Meanwhile, poor Haas. He made some plays. He was a closer for us at times, but I think it just very quickly became more of the me over we. And, Howie was able to move on. Joe Douglas was like, yeah, I'm going to be out of here anyway, so let's I'll help you out. You hire me back later, right? Little favor for a favor. And the rest is history. So now he's in Tampa.
Daniel Lesage just said, was what just came out about Gardner Johnson the thing you guys have been gatekeeping from us? The answer is no. And if you didn't see this, I did on my show the other day. The mom of Gardner's most recent kid mentioned that Gardner Johnson had a hit out from his boy Z, whoever that is, on Malik Neighbors, which is a hit like a hit man or like a bounty on the field. Unsure, because Malik Neighbors did not get hurt, and at least against us, and is alive. So No, that is not what we were told about Gardner Johnson. That's pretty wild. I would not believe that if someone told us that one. So no, it's not.
Yeah.
But it goes to show that's a good example of what we were told as to why they got rid of him. You can read in between the lines there. That's a good distraction is the word that you look at there.
That's a good way to word it. Yes,
physical distraction.
There's a common denominator around,
and
again,
weird.
Whether that's true, because someone's like, hey, why are you guys not talking about this a whole lot more? Making it a big deal. It's like it's not. I'm not putting it in a thumbnail. I'm not making it as a major storyline and everything. For one, he's gone. He's in Houston, but also, who really knows of what like when we start going down that rabbit hole of like a story like that, there is no way that I'm going to start talking about it as fact of here's something that apparently is true because so-and-so said it. Like there's got to be multiple sources and extra information to absolutely make sure that someone comes up because, look, we obviously have opinions on players and thoughts and everything else, but we're not going to go to the extreme of completely slandering someone's character to the absolute extreme and going, well, there you go, that, she said it, so it must be true. I mean, who knows? And I'm sure there's some fact checkers and people trying to get legit sources on that. But, it's just a common denominator you saw a couple different times. And I think overall, whether that or other stories were true, you see that it just wasn't worth it to keep him around. It wasn't a cap thing. It wasn't a cash thing.
Right.
Kenyon Green, maybe he ends up being decent, but that trade was not hey, we got an opportunity here to get a really good pass blocker. No, that's not what you got in return. So
right.
Moving on. Elbert with a 2. Go back to Reed. Reed will be signed, sealed, delivered by week 1. I hope so. I do hope.
I think there's a good chance. Week 1, day 1 of training camp, 11 days from now, maybe, I would hope, but, Josh just said probably not. Day 1 of the season, Thursday night, September 4th or 6th, whatever it is, versus the Cowboys.
Yep.
Much higher chance, because we're like 55 days away from that, so much higher chance.
Got a lot of time to get something done, so I would also agree there. Let's see, did I miss other? No, I think that was the other super chat.
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple different people here. Lewis Seen. He's the Dakota. Seen was drafted.
He's a dog.
Drafted. That's true. Philly dog. He was drafted for his athletic ability, but could not figure out on the football field. See, there's one that's kind of like, I don't know necessarily against it, but just sharing what's been happening. He had the tools, and he got injured. Then it's like, can he find that again? Is there a way? But it's with the Fangio scheme we've seen so many times. If you're an athlete and you have that IQ, you're going to take off like crazy. You're Cooper DeJean, Quinell Mitchell, Jalyx Hunt, Nolan Smith, guys that can do both, absolutely. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be the most athletic player out there on the football field if you have the IQ and you can pick it up. And that's where I'm curious to see with Drew Mukuba, because remember, he's not the most athletic. He was kind of a little different outside the mold of what Philadelphia typically drafts for players of, like a 9 point whatever on the relative athletic score and, being this crazy freak of an athlete. He's athletic, sure, but again, just not to that upper level that we've seen. But you look at the tape, you watch him play, and you're like, this guy can react to it. He can see it before it's happening, and I think that's what they liked. So I'm curious, do we see that? But it wouldn't be crazy, I suppose, if Lewis Seen were there. But I don't, the odds at the moment, if you were to say, like the odds of Lewis Seen winning the job versus making the roster right now, like it's astronomically different. His goal should just be to make the roster. Like, I don't even think it's a question of like, will he win the starting job next to Reed Blankenship? But it's a Philly dog. You have as many as possible.
I know. Is what it is.
Just keep adding him. Deontay with a 5. Appreciate that. Looks like just a sticker.
Just a 5.
I always love how it gives me the description of it, though. Hippo character with stars growing in his eyes, pumping his arms in the air with the word hype, pulsating above him.
He sounds pretty hyped. Pulsating above him. Okay.
It's the full description. It won't give me the picture of it in the eCam software, obviously, that we stream for, but some of those are pretty hilarious. I think that's actually the best one that I've seen, the descriptor of that. We do appreciate the 5, though. Thank you for that. Let's see. Anything else? I know there's not as much of the news recently here, but
I think that's it for news. Yeah, I think next week is going to be interesting to see around the league who signs people and really it's the last chance if Philadelphia needs to make another move before. Now, they might make, Philly does this thing where they'll like drop somebody from the roster, add somebody, and then they'll add somebody back in, and they kind of do this little practice squad thing during the season. They also do that during training camp. So there could be a scenario, somebody's a free agent right now, Philly brings him in, it's a no-name offensive lineman or some fifth-string wide receiver or whatever, and we'll talk about that. Asante Samuel Jr., I think this is kind of your last chance. I'd be very surprised to see him signed in the next 11 days in Philadelphia. It just doesn't seem to be a strong market for him, but I think someone's going to sign him before camp. Like, there's this talk of Samuel Jr. being this, like, fourth week of training camp, desperate, you need to bring him in. Maybe. I'd be surprised if someone goes in or doesn't go and get him, but there's not a lot of buzz right now. Like, the Dolphins were there, and then Asante Samuel Sr. kind of, killed that idea by trashing the Dolphins, and so, what are you going to do? I'm curious what people will do the next 11 days.
Yeah, well, there's not as much going on. So, but I am also Marcus with the one Philly Special Show membership gifted there. Appreciate that. Looks like Philly Lock got that one, so congratulations to you. Elbert with another 5 bombs saying also, I won't do. I think this may be a typo. I won't C.J. Gardner Johnson because right now, if we needed a safety come playoffs and he was on the trading block, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Okay, so yeah.
Philadelphia wouldn't.
Yeah, they wouldn't either. They made it obvious, but
they would not.
Right. For all of us, though, I do understand the sentiment there. Simo with a 5 more says, I feel like we need some vets at secondary. Being young and is nice, but someone like Justin Simmons would be nice too. He's always out there. I think that's just kind of your contingency backup plan. I mean, heck, we haven't heard rumors or reports of this, but you could legitimately, hypothetical again, but like Howie could have like literally gone to Justin Simmons and be like, hey, we're going to the camp. We're going to see what we have. You want to wait anyway. You signed last year at August, so you're not in a hurry to get into training camp and go through all the gruesome injuries or the gruesome training and everything there. You know the system with Fangio and Parker, so we'll call you. Like, and I'm not saying that he has. There's no sources confirmed for it, but just hypothetically, that could be on the table. Like they could just see that and go, yes, we have a backup plan. We're okay. We're not concerned. If we need to, we could always go to a safety. But yeah, so far, I mean, besides Adoree Jackson, there's not too much to go off of. I will say the other bit of... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the only other bit of news, because people were asking, is there anything else? I forgot about this. This was earlier in the week, but Anthony wrote an article about this, kind of following up on the Eagles could catch a break against the Buccaneers in Week 4.
Oh, I forgot
Tristan
about that.
Wirfs,
Yes, Tristan Wirfs out. Yes.
Yes, could be on the PUP list, the surgery that he had for the knee. And if that's the case, then PUP list means first 4 weeks. So maybe there would be a chance then, or likely, I guess, in that scenario of Tampa Bay being without their best player, or arguably their best player, in Tristan Wirfs. And that's, the good news for Nolan Smith and the pass rush. I mean, you look at the numbers in the breakdown. Anthony went into it a lot more detail, but Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense is a lot worse. Not necessarily as drastic of a losing Lane Johnson for the Eagles, but very close.
Yeah, it's an interesting game we play every year in Tampa where it's super sweaty. McCullum talked about that, but it'd be nice if it would not be a loss this year. Let's just say that.
Get prepared for that one, yeah. We'll see. Also, it was funny because we had some good twin stories out there because Tristan and his brother Zion are twins. He said that he's been a lot of smack's been talked, obviously, because Zion's gotten the better of him for 2 games now, the playoff game and last year during the regular season. But he's like, if we beat them, he's like, maybe we try to get Zion on the channel. So that would be fun.
There you go.
2 twins and
that'd be very fun.
Get them on. We need Sidney Brown on next though, and get his brother Chase. That would be pretty legit. Someone did remind me that I said we have 2 different sets or members of twins on the team, and at the same position, being the safety. But we actually have 3. I just wasn't thinking about it in Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean. So that's my apologies. I forgot. But you're right. 3 different
There's a lot of
twins.
There's a lot of them.
For those. I don't know where this came from. Somebody started talking about trading Nolan Smith in the comment section, and
skip
Marcus,
that one. Skip.
Yeah, no. Marcus is like, I think
end the stream.
Josh would end the channel. I might shut down the channel.
That'd be a fun one to watch. Is his reaction video? But what are you gonna do?
Someone would have to force me to do that. Like you would have to like show up, I think, and record, and I
think so.
I would just be like, whatever, like do whatever you want with
It'd be worth it. It'd be fun to watch.
Oh yeah. Well, we can play hypotheticals. Some hypotheticals are worth playing. That one's not. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's a whole lot of other news. I mean, on Friday, just chilling, hanging out, talking birds.
Yeah.
No more questions. It appears in the chat, so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. More videos to come. We got some stuff planned. Anything in the recent, or I guess the near future that you want to tease, or just anything to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I got a show this weekend, and then I'll be out of town until Wednesday next week, and then we'll do a couple shows next week, and then kind of keep it quiet until training camp unless news happens. So, what are you going to do? That's basically it. We were talking about this. There's not a lot going on, and so you just kind of, I like doing these deep dive shows every now and then, but I try to get the news if there is news, and so, is what it is.
There we go. And just past 97,000 subscribers.
Close
so congratulations to you. We're
close
right
to 100.
there.
We'll
Super
see.
close.
We'll see. One of these days.
People have not. Make sure to go and sub. 3,000, less than 3,000 away.
Less than 3,000. Got some fun giveaways for 100,000. Fun stuff.
There we go. I think I have an idea of maybe some of those, but
some pretty fun stuff.
People don't want to miss. I've created maybe a burner or two. If you happen to see my address, don't think twice about it. Just be like, I guess this person won. Just ship it over.
I shipped the baseball bat today, and I told the guy who won, I was like, send me a picture, because people always say we don't actually give the things away. The bat is gone. It's usually right here, and so I shipped the Kyle Schwarber bat away. So is what it. People always say we don't send stuff, but we do, and so I spent $28 at UPS today to ship that thing, and he'll get it next week.
Okay, because we're not going to make anybody pay. Just confirmation. Nobody's paying for shipping. Right. If you are, then you've obviously fallen victim to a scammer. See, haven't had as many of those recently, which is good. But yeah, shipped out the BG jersey and the Jalen one today as well. So people should be getting those in the next couple days.
We do ship those things. They do. It does happen. So.
And crazier things, as we said, planned for the regular season, the live streams and all that. But
yep.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for us. Like I say, on a Friday, cover the news and everything else. I've got a video coming out probably tomorrow night. If it'll depend. I'm almost done. It was the season long recap that I was talking about. So it's trying to, as best I can, kind of a synopsis, almost like documentary style ish.
That'd be fun.
Of the Eagles. I'm not done, so it's a rough estimate. I'm guessing it's going to end up being about an hour 15 long. So
goodness gracious,
it's like a movie. It's been a few days of, maybe a little bit more than a few days, but a few sporadically here and there of working on it. So hopefully it'll be tomorrow night. And again, there's not a whole lot, so I figured a little hype video, relive the season, go through the moments, things like that. So. In the meantime, people feel free. Last one at the buzzer. Looks like we got one more super chat. Philly Lock 22. Could Smael Mondon become a pass rusher?
Probably not. No.
Interesting.
They like him at linebacker. He's a linebacker. They like him at linebacker.
I will just say this right now. I think I've said it maybe a couple times, but just to reiterate, if you want a potential standout this year,
I think so.
A dark horse candidate for a standout on special teams, Smael Mondon. Like that dude, I'm just waiting for him to have an Oren Burks moment of light someone up on the opening kickoff, and there's a fumble, and Eagles take over because the athleticism is there, and he's proven it. He did it at Georgia. That's how he got on the field. He was a standout on special teams, and then he became a starter on the defense. So he knows. Just keep an eye out.
I agree.
All right. That's it. We appreciate you guys.
Enjoy your weekend, guys. How about that?
Have a good one. Thomas, it was fun on a Friday. So we'll see you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.